Welcome back to Project 94 for another Diecast review here on the channel. And today, we're going to be taking a look at Bad Brad Keselowski and his 2023 Castrol Edge Ford Mustang for none other than RFK Racing, of course, which Brad Keselowski is part owner of. A really cool, very awesome, new Castrol design. If you guys remember the green and red one from last year, this is a really cool design for Castrol. So let's take a look at this diecast right here. It was a fun diecast to look at last year, and it's definitely going to be a fun diecast to look at this year. And what's funny is that this car recently won with Chris Buescher behind the wheel at Michigan. So that was really cool to see him win that race, you know? Of course, this is a really awesome diecast for the new Castrol Edge branding. Of course, instead of having just the normal green and red that we're used to seeing, we now have a matte black and white and red and green design. But the matte black really sets the stage for this to be a really awesome diecast. And with those chrome numbers, man, this is going to be a fun one. So let's get this diecast out of the box and ready to review. Here it is, out of the box. Brad Keselowski's new Castrol Edge design. You guys know me. You guys know that I love matte black backed paint schemes where the base coat is the matte black. This is why I loved the Night Owl. This is why I loved so many of the matte black designs, man. I love these paint schemes, and just whenever you have matte black and then you throw on paint scheme color combinations like this onto the car, man, you're asking for this thing to be looked at. Holy cow, this is really nice. And at first, I wasn't really a fan of ditching the green backdrop. But you know what? After seeing this scheme and the Castrol Edge, observing the Castrol Edge brand, I could see why they chose the matte black for this. It just makes it look sharp. Man, this looks good. And of course, you have the chrome numbers on there, which are going to mess with the camera. Ooh, look at that. Yo, blinded by the light. Here it is. You got number 6. You have RFK. You got the Ford Mustang front end of this thing. You have Castrol Edge on the hood with those hideous 2023 hood vents. Of course, you got Castrol Edge, Ford, and Keselowski. Got Sunoco. You have Goodyear, NASCAR Cup Series, the 75th anniversary logo for NASCAR. Of course, the yellow Goodyears with the gray rims. You have the chrome number 6, which is a bit scratched and scuffed. That's just how the foil numbers, they get all like that. Brad Keselowski with the American flag. Of course, you have Ford, King's Hawaiian Violet Defense. You have Castrol Edge. And then, of course, the big Castrol Edge on the side. Fastenal, and underneath the Keselowski pillars. Framing the Mac Tools, Doosan, and Siemens logo right there. Of course, you have the little brake light of the Mustang. The fake rear quarter window printing. On the back, you have Castrol Edge, RFK, number 6, the 2023 Ford Mustang license plate with the black spoiler with the pop rivets. On the deck lid, you have Castrol Edge, Keselowski's name on the rear windshield banner. And on the roof, you have Castrol Edge and the number 6. So now for the paint scheme. The base coat of the matte black, which we established, it looks really cool, makes it stand out. Now we have a Keselowski Night Owl and a Buescher Night Owl because, you know, they both have this scheme. So let's look at the numbers. So we have the red, dark red, and bright red gradient outline, the white shadow, and the black number fill-in with the new number 6 font that's been running with the new RFK branding and such. The black roof rails, the black spoiler, and the black splitter. And of course, on the doors, you're going to have the black shadow, the thin red outline, another black shadow, a thin white outline, and a chrome number fill-in. Or I would actually say that the red's not a thin outline. It's a thicker outline than the other two. It's like they're really pronouncing that red, that redness to the outline of the number 6. Lots of detail to that one number 6. Of course, you have the chrome number, which we established before, shining bright like a diamond. Really nice looking. They did not do that on the roof, but, you know, they don't, for some reason, they just don't allow the roof chrome numbers, the chrome numbers on the roof, which is just odd. I want them to do it. But from the spotter stands, this is going to be easier to see, so that's a good design, a safe design choice, I'd like to say. on the front of this thing, you're going to have the red stripes starting with the black in between. Then you're going to have the gradient green. There's 2 shades of green on there. Got a dark shade of green and a light shade of green, which looks to be fading, which is part of the design, the gradient green, and of course another red stripe and a thin white stripe that's evenly spaced out. Looks to be that they spaced that out, which is pretty nice. And of course you can see right where it starts under the OEM details. The stripes just pretty much flow through the OEM details in the front. Looking at the hood, you're going to have some of that green gradient. Almost looks like neon lights, almost like ground effect kit. You know how they have like these, in Need for Speed, when you're putting a ground effect kit on your car, or you're putting lights in the interior, which is another cool craze from back in the 90s and early 2000s. That almost looks like there's light shining from over the top of the hood right there. Like, you know how there's always like an opening between the window on these die-casts? You could see, like, it almost looks like there's light shining through there. So you got a green gradient. Of course, there's bright areas of it, dark areas of it. Same with the thin red. You're going to have some gradient effects to that. Almost looks like a chrome or even just like a neon light of the dark green with the red, which is really cool. It's almost like a Christmas tree green. Not too dark, not too bright. And of course, the red is also a gradient. Of course, the stripes from the front are going to flow through the side. Of course, you're going to see part of the green right there. Very, very faint green stripe right there. That's fading because of the gradient. Then you're going to have that red stripe continue to swoop across the door and onto the quarter panel. Then, of course, you're going to have some more of the red over the green, which are both fading. And the thin, or not thin, it's not a thin, it's pretty thick green stripe right there. It almost has like another green stripe underneath it, because you could say the top part of it is the darker green, where the lighter green starts right underneath. But both are going to start fading into a gradient underneath the red. And it's going to stop right before it says Fastenal, so it can frame that logo nicely. And then you're going to have the red stripe go through underneath the 6, and stop at the Keselowski pillars right there. The 3 little pillars that are always there. You got the 2 thick stripes, the first thick stripe, and it's going to have the upper top of it become a stripe and swoop across the side. That's usually how that always is, the iconic Keselowski stripe. I'll start calling that from here on out. Of course, the nicely framed contingencies with the green and red stripe, both are gradient. But yeah, get a look at this design, man. The red and green gradient stripes on the side really take the cake for this design. On top of the matte black, and of course the decals themselves are also going to match the matte, so it's not like a gloss decal put on a matte diecast. The full thing is done matte, so it's a consistently matte black throughout. Or not matte black, just matte finish throughout. Just the base coat is matte black. And of course, it's going to continue onto the quarter panel, that Keselowski stripe, white stripe that always continues onto the back. And then you're going to have the red and green gradient stripes. Some of it is going to continue onto the back, but before we get to that, you can see those stripes right there. It's going to continue to go through the wheel well and onto the very small rear quarter panel area right there. Most of it's going to be taken up by the red right there. So the red stopped before the pillar stripes, and then after the pillar stripes onto the rear quarter panel, the red came back, so it went from fading to black to the red color. And then onto the back of this thing, you're going to have the light green and dark green, of course, basically the light, the neon light gradient looking green on the back right there, neatly under the taillights. Of course, going to leave a thin black stripe in between like it did. So it was pretty thick before, and then it started getting more and more thin as it got to the back. And the white stripe is going to be over the red, which is in its full color now that it's faded from that black into the full red color. And on the deck lid of it, you also have the green stripe, the neon light green stripe, and the neon light red stripe. Of course, the green is the thickest of the 2 stripes on the deck lid. And all of the top and roof pillars are all white except the black roof rails, but the whole upper portion of this car is white. So yeah, lots going on with the gradient, but the matte black helps it all stand out, and the color combination definitely helps it. This is a really cool diecast. Of course, got a decal fold right there. That's unfortunate. But yeah, guys, let's get some close-up looks at this diecast. It is a beautifully done paint scheme. Apparently, they are working on getting the Buescher one made, and they're probably also going to make the raced version that Chris Buescher won with this car. But, hopefully Brad Keselowski wins a race. That would be really cool to get a race version, Brad Keselowski number 6, of a legitimate win and not just a Daytona duel or Clash win or a dual win. But nonetheless, this is a really, really nice paint scheme. I love how this paint scheme looks. An idea I would have had was maybe if they're going to use this, I'm not really a fan of them keeping the same paint schemes for 2 different drivers. Like, I know they're teammates on the same team, but, like, let's make the Buescher one like an inverted color scheme, right? Invert all the colors, but you can have the same type of scheme. And just let Brad have the black one, or do vice versa. But nonetheless, the paint scheme works. It's a nice looking scheme. And I'm going to give you guys a 360 view. So here's the front of this car. The matte shines way different than the gloss because there's less additives in the paint. Here's the hood right there. Here's the right side, which we're going to get a close-up look at with all that gradient detailing going on. Here's the right side. Here's the back. Here's the deck lid. Here's the roof. Here's the right side. And here's the deck lid of this car, or the deck lid, the under tray. Man, that's how you can tell it's been a long day of doing diecast reviews, or a long night, I should say. The underbody of this 2023 Ford Mustang. And that is going to be it for Brad Keselowski's 2023 Castrol Edge Ford Mustang for RFK Racing. Really, really cool diecast. I love the paint scheme of it. What do you guys think of this diecast? Comment tell us what you guys think of these diecasts. You know, leave comments. I know YouTube keeps on blocking the comment section for some reason. I don't know why, but if that thing's open, give us your opinion on these diecasts, man. I love reading comments. It's a fun part of being a YouTuber, just getting more people's ideas of what they think about stuff. Really, really cool and fun being a diecast reviewer on YouTube. So, yeah, guys, another awesome RFK diecast to the collection. And, of course, I am a fan of the number 6 in NASCAR. You know, the number 6 has always had the best paint scheme since Mark Martin. Originally, I was a Mark Martin fan. That was my first favorite driver, was Mark Martin. So I remember his days in that 6 car. And to see the tradition, even though it's Brad Keselowski, to see the tradition of great number 6 paint schemes continuing, even with the different drivers over the years. The 6 has had plenty of drivers. They had David Reagan, Ryan Newman, and many other drivers who have driven the number 6, not only in the Cup Series, but in the Xfinity and truck as well. So the number 6 has a quite... it's part of NASCAR history. It's a historic NASCAR number. So to see Brad Keselowski and RFK Racing still making great paint schemes for the number 6, you know, it makes me feel something in my heart, you know, because I love the number 6 NASCAR, and it's cool to see this stuff living on 20 years later. So thank you all for checking out this diecast review. Comment, like, and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next diecast review. And always remember to make sure you know what you're doing when you're putting decals on your diecast.